we are very grounded people. So my name, Ekpe, that's my family name. Okama is my name. Ekpe is my family name from Nigeria, and Brook is my husband's name. So Ekpe means panther. So we have the Ekpe Society in Nigeria, from my part of Nigeria, Cross River State. It is it's a society that exists amongst the Bantu people of Africa. We came from, the Sahel and migrated north to where I guess Nigeria is. So we have our origins around different parts of Africa. And the Ekpe people are in Cuba. The Ekpe people are in the Americas, in the United States, I believe in Panama also. And I am sure, I can bet you, there are the Ekpe people in India too. But we haven't done the research. This is why, as a scholar and as an international development expert, I like to talk about this topic because it encourages us to, explore more and capture the data so we can share. So the Ekpe Society, when you are a member of that, one of the things that is done is as warriors, the panther, it's a warrior family. And so when you come into our community, we are very hospitable. Just like you mentioned, similar to your community in India, in Nigeria, we're very hospitable people. We would give the only meal in the house, actually, to a stranger, to a foreigner, because we welcome them. We want them to feel, the warmth of our community. The Ekpe culture also, I mentioned at the beginning of my talk that we have the New Yam Festival. In the olden days, because you protect your community, the young men protect the community. So during the New Yam Festival, they go to the forest, and one of the things they come back with is, they uproot a tree. And that tree is a symbol of a bountiful harvest. And apparently when they uproot that tree, it shows the strength that they have used, to keep the production going. And now they can bring it to the town to show everyone. And the young man that uproots the tree, it's a rite of passage. So all the young men, used to be able to do that. And by doing that, it shows strength. They can protect their family as well. They can protect the land. They can produce, and it sustains. So that is one thing that you will find common amongst the Ekpe societies. Anywhere they have an Ekpe around the world, that is something that they share. So there is a song that they sing too when they're having that ceremony. And I was so surprised when I went to Cuba for, our scholarly conference, and they heard my name. And this one guy was working as a security officer in this hotel I stayed. When he saw my name as I registered, he wanted to meet me. When he met me, he just started to sing the song.
Wow.
It was amazing. Okay. And I remember, my father, singing that song. It's a common language for them.
Why don't you sing now? So we can enjoy. Go ahead, we love to hear. Yeah, why don't you sing like even a shorter version, Yeah.
I need my drums because it should go with the drums. But it's It goes, ayang ayang idemo, ayang ayang idemo, ekbere kanem okbore keri, mama okbore keri, ekbere kanem okbore keri, mama idofo. Ayang ayang idemo, ayang ayang idemo. Ekbere kanem okbore keri, mama okbore keri. Ekbere kanem okbore keri, mama idofo. So, you know,
Wow.
it goes with the drums,
Really?
and it's only very, very
Yeah.
particular people that
Same,
can
similar to
understand it.
I resonate this with the I mean Toda culture. This is Toda culture and Assamese. Assamese, you know, two cultures I know. Dr. Shastri might also know PVK Shastri. These two cultures they have similar. We call metu. Metu is the way you know your the song is structured. You know, these tunes. Amazing, you know, it's just reflecting. If I just listen to the sound, it just takes to my own culture, you know.
Well, you see, this is what I was saying. I mean, if we think about it, I read and we continue the conversation that humanity actually, you know, originated from Africa. You know, Africa is the birthplace of humanity. We have moved around, but some of the original traditions are still with us. They just get transformed over time. And in our different spaces, when we practice it, you know, it and adapt it, it becomes, you know, our own. We create it in our own way and we live it in our own ways. But when you look at the roots of humanity, it comes from one place. So I can imagine that the way languages, the way songs, the way dance has evolved, there is still the remnant of the originality of it. And over time, the intersectionality of cultural traditions and heritage with, you know, civilization and then post-colonial thought as well has, you know, changed it into something else. But for those of us who, you know, follow this school of thought, when we look at it deeply, we'll see the, you know, the similarities and therefore the need for us to really ensure that we are empowering, we are working with those who still, you know, strongly believe in it and practice it, and and that it's taught, you know, it's taught to the younger generations so that they'll be able to carry it forward. The other example I like to share is about food. You know, food is close to our heart, and I made today a very typical Nigerian dish.
Uh-huh.
It's called a goosey soup. A goosey soup. It's like
Lucy.
a thick sauce. A goosey soup. There's a seed that we use. It's only from Africa. You can get it from Africa. So you get it, you grind it, and then you mix with your other condiments. And we use the red palm oil.
Mm.
We only cook it with the red palm oil, and then that's the soup. So it gives it that very, you know, savory flavor. And then we use gari. Gari is, we make it into eba, like, you know, the pounded yam, and you eat
Wow.
with your hands. You have to eat it with your hands. So
Wow.
I made this today, and my kids, you know, when they came back, my daughter had it. She was eating with her hands. She was like, "Oh, mom, you put a lot of love into this food."
Wonderful.
So that is something that
Wonderful.
is very unique to my culture. We eat with our hands, and we
Wow.
eat as a group. You know, it's a communal meal. So whenever I have the
Wonderful.
opportunity, I like to share that with my friends, with my family. And also, as you know, I'm a dancer. I've performed in different spaces, and I'll continue to perform because dance is my type of dance. I do belly dance actually. And belly dance is from, Northern Africa, Egyptian belly dance, Moroccan belly dance. It's very intuitive kind of dance. And for women particularly, it helps with, toning the abdominal muscles, preparing for childbirth. And after childbirth, you can return the body back to its pre-pregnancy state. And this is one of the traditional ways that, North African women have used to, maintain their body and keep fit at different spaces and times in their lives. And so, I learned this from a dear friend when we were actually living in Lao PDR. And I've had 3 cesarean sections with my kids, and was able to, work my body, and I still find it very, very effective just because of how the isolated movements occur, and then a combination of that to, produce the full dance. So that is another thing, because in African countries and spaces, we use a lot of music, we use a lot of dance, and food. These are all, central to our way of lives. And so that is something else that, I do, and I use that to share my culture, my heritage, and of course, wherever I am, everyone's got to know who Okama is. So these are some of the examples, Shan, I'd like to share with our group. And I encourage everyone, wherever you are, be very intentional about who you are, your rich, vibrant heritage, and, seek opportunities to share it, talk about it. And, sometimes people will not ask you the questions because they may not want to come across as being ignorant. But actually, if you offer a little piece of who you are, a little piece of what makes you the unique being that you are, it opens up the space for deeper conversation and for education that they would not have had otherwise. So this is one of the ways that have worked for me over the years, and I'm integrating it into my work within the Africa Caribbean Heritage Alliance, where, when we're going into any community or groupings of people we're going to work with, we first of all, seek to know who they are, what's their unique way of life, and then have an orientation as to, how we can work with them, respecting what they already have, and then finding room in there to introduce whatever we're bringing in, but in a collaborative way and in a respectful way, and with innovation as well, and all of our creativity. A lot of people don't know I dance, so when I'm speaking and then maybe at the end of the program, I get all dressed up and I do my performance, it's like two different people. But to me, it's just, living our creativity and having it all here while we're still here in this journey.
So we can see your dance in Dubai conference, November. So that's wonderful. So that could be part of the retreat, I guess, right? So yeah, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. The activity areas, are open, so we can be. I'm also trying to bring some folks from India traditional from here. Actually, they're coming from here. There's a group for 20-25 people. They're planning their Bharatanatyam dancers, like I mentioned, Bharatanatyam dancers from India. So they will be flying from US. And all students who are were trained here professionally many years. So they're coming with their teachers. So it's going to be wonderful, mix of different cultures, and we are expecting some Japanese culture and Thai also. So it's going to be really a mix of all, Middle East, all different traditions, coming and joining in one place. So that's going to be really fun, I think. And following that, we will also have the Nigerian. So you can talk a little bit about the Nigeria conference, which you want to host. So you tell me, the Nigeria conference, which we plan to collaboratively do, so that people be aware, again. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for the Dubai conference, we are, as you mentioned already, we're also trying to bring a troupe from Nigeria that would, share their dance and music with our participants in Dubai conference. And of course, during the retreat as well, we'll have a chance to really go in depth into some of those learnings. We're also hoping to have a boot camp, where we have the space to explore the tools and practices that can be used in development work that gives space for actually more understanding of some of these indigenous tools, indigenous knowledge, those traditions. How do we work with people? What tools can we use to work with people to make sure that that is incorporated into what we're doing? We're going to have a session on that during the Dubai conference. And then, since everybody's already in Dubai, which is just a few hours flight from Nigeria, we invite all of the people coming to Dubai to join us in Nigeria, in Lagos and Abuja for the Nigeria conference. And the Nigeria conference is going to take place from the 24th to the 27th of November. And the focus is really about diversity inclusion. We want to talk about how, if we were able to really, work towards empowering marginalized groups, including, people living with disabilities, including, the LGBTQ community, including, women facing extreme violence and trafficking. We're seeing a lot of violence against our women all over the world. But how can we actually create awareness at home so that people that are going out would know how to protect themselves? We're also looking at, inclusion of indigenous people and ethnic minorities, which is a topic that we've been having conversations here. So the dialogue process, this conference, is for us to, really zoom in on this topic and look at all the different target groups, youth, women, to see how we can come up with policies or recommendations for our government to include into policy, so that the organizations that are doing the work would have a supportive instrument to be able to carry out this work much more effectively. It's all towards strengthening systems for implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, going in from the essence of our diverse nation, and how we will be able to reach all of the different target groups within that. So that is what the conference is about. And we would like to have, our Indian representatives share their knowledge about how it's done in India, and how, the disabled community is empowered, how youth, how can we involve young people? Nigerian population, we're about 200 million people right now, and 40% are young people, are youth, but we have a very high unemployment rate. So we're really looking at, what are the ways? And I see so many. India has made advancements in so many of those areas, and those are some of the lessons that we would like our Indian delegation to contribute to the conversation. And then, of course, educational as well, research. We would love to have more collaboration between Nigeria and India. So we are excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I will just open up for a couple of questions from the audience, and then we can finish. So anybody has a question, you can raise your hands or comments. You're welcome.
I've seen some comments in the chat box. Is it Kamala? Kamala is very interesting. Thank you so much for such a nice talk. Thank you, Kamala. Thank you.
Okay, so Anilji, you go ahead, please. Anilji has raised his hands. So go ahead.
Can you see me? Hi, Okama. Yeah, Anil Nagdev here.
Hi.
And when I was young, I used to listen to reggae music. It comes from your this thing. Yeah, nice music.
Yes. The reggae movement. Actually, we just celebrated Marcus Garvey's birthday last month, and so we use that opportunity to have the reggaetons playing. So absolutely, usually also I play music at the beginning of my talk. I play music, so next time I'll definitely have some reggae music as well.
I remember one line like, Caribbean is the island in the champion. Out of many we say we are one. Let's get together and sing this song. Out of we, Jamaica, out of we. Jamaica is the island in the Caribbean. Jamaica produces lot of champion. Hey, out of many we say we are one.
Wow, Anilji. So we have another singer and entertainer in our group, huh? Anilji, I didn't know.
My goodness.
Yeah, this dimension. Wonderful. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it Najdev, right? Najdev.
Yeah, Anil. Yeah, Anil Nagdev. Yes.
That's beautiful. One of the people that we hope will come to the Nigeria conference is a maroon priestess from the part of Jamaica, which is, it reminded me so much of Chennai, actually, when I traveled to India and went through Chennai. This part of Jamaica where the priestess is the maroon chief, it reminded me so much of Chennai. So I'm hoping that she'll be able to, come to Dubai conference, and then from Dubai conference join us in Nigeria.
So I was doing something, like one of my workers, he was from Jamaica, and he was like loving the food I gave, like I was sharing some food with him. And apparently he was a complete vegetarian, born vegetarian in Jamaica. And then I understood that there is a tradition in Jamaica that they're completely vegetarian, right? So I was amazed by how, I was thinking that only Indians, follow this vegetarianism. earlier, but he seemed to be saying that this is like a tradition for a long time. We're just vegetarians.
That is
So I think there are, yeah.
That is the way of life of the Maroon community, the Rastafaris. The Rastafaris, everything is natural.
Completely
the hair,
natural.
you see
Yes.
my hair is all natural. My hair is natural. They have the hair natural. They all vegetarian, vegan actually.
Yeah.
So many of them, and that community, I was there in June. The one I'm talking about, it's called in Portland. They leave everything that is eaten there is grown from that community, and they have the most beautiful river. I actually got my blessing in that river by the Maroon chief. It's to me, it's the way we should be living. It's the way we should be living, and so I feel very connected, and I'm very excited for us to actually do this work together. And I look forward to you coming to Jamaica as well. I think you will connect very well with Jamaica and our other Caribbean islands. And my work within the Caribbean Studies Association is actually to empower this kind of conversations and scholarly writings. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So shall we allow for one more question, like Shastriji, Sarah? You have any questions? Sarah Ladd? Yes. You're muted. You can unmute now. Yeah.
Oh, good. There we go. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi. I want to bring up a little bit of a sensitive topic, if that's okay. I think Dr.Shan, you know me well enough to be a little provocative. And I want to address this issue of inclusiveness. I think that's a really sensitive term, and the traditional definition was mental or physical disability. So I wondered if we could talk a little bit about kind of tagging that label onto Indigenous rights, because to me, I think it's a big undertaking. For example, comparing it to how the civil rights movement was a little bit derailed by the feminist movement, which has now evolved into essentially somewhat of a destruction of the family. So does anyone want to address the idea that linking inclusiveness, calling African ancestry as a mental or physical disability can be kind of a derogatory term?
So Okama, you wanted to go ahead, or you want me to address first?
Well, I mean, I think maybe I'm trying to understand the question. Sarah, thank you very much. I think this is why we look at an adaptation. We look at an adaptation from an adaptation lens. We look at from an integration lens. And when I talk about empowerment myself, I'm really talking about first getting an understanding of what those cultural traditions are, and then working within that in recognizing what is already there, but also recognizing that there's got to be, ways, transformative ways that need to take place for some of those things to be systems, practices to be sustained. especially within the context of that we're living in. And so we are, like in Nigeria, within my own community that has been, practicing all of this ancient traditions for centuries, you find that there are disabled people. There are disabled people, but because of some of the thinking around having disabled people in the same spaces as so-called quote unquote normal people, the quality of life of those disabled people has been derailed. So when we're talking about development now, we actually look at, okay, who is impacted? How do we apply what has always been our ancient knowledge with, the need now to ensure that there is equitable development, that we bring along the disabled people, that we bring along, the albinos. There's one area in Nigeria where the albinos have just been excluded. I didn't know that they actually existed until we started this conversation. And then we put out research and we got thousands of albinos, blue-eyed people from the northern part of Nigeria. But until we started this conversation, there was really no space for them to be, to enjoy the same rights and freedoms as so-called, the rest of us normal Nigerians. So this is the lens within which, we look at diversity inclusion and encouraging for maybe a little bit more opening of the space for everyone to have a better quality of life. But if I bring that conversation to here in Canada, for instance, in the Americas, and even in the Caribbean, with some of this, the atrocities that have been committed against, people of African descent, people of, Indian descent, we really, need to be more conscious of what we're talking about and who we're working with. And so my research work with the University of Alberta is actually, we target a certain group, people of African descent, and we want to identify them, because sometimes when we say Black people, there's a whole lot that goes on to Black people, right? But by actually understanding who those Black people constitute and what are the traditions, what are the ancient traditions, what are the knowledge base, and then you work from there. And that provides also a different learning opportunity for others that are within those spaces. Dr. Shan.
Okay, well, I think you clarified quite a bit of things. So I want to give it to other opportunity for others. Ms. Kamala Devi is quite from Canada.
Thank you.
She's also from Indigenous culture. She knows how much it's affecting. She's in politics, and she can come up with her comments. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Such a insightful information and a very good initiative that you are taking. Going to the root will solve many issues in Africa. And I just wanted to share something that I read recently. I can't remember the country name. In Africa, there is one tribe. When the woman is ready to conceive, she goes to a tree and she stays under the tree, waiting to hear a song. A full song she would hear. Only when she hears the whole song, she comes back to her partner, and then she conceives. That song, till the person becomes old, they would be singing good and bad days. Very interesting. I haven't heard anything like that in my culture. It's very interesting. Also, in Accra, there is a temple, there is a place they go and pray. I asked my friend from Ghana, not in Accra, it's in Ghana, but I'm not sure whether it's in Accra or somewhere else. I asked my friend, hey, before Christianity, what was your religion? He told me, oh, we go to the mountain. My great-grandparents, they go to the mountain and pray. That god is called Murugu. We have Murugan. That Murugan also lives in the mountain. You see, that's something very interesting. Then there's a guy who does linguistic research, and he found out in Cameroon, the kids speak a language, very slang, our language, Tamil language, our Tamil language slang that we speak slang. We also speak slang. That slang has been spoken in Cameroon. Kids and the old, elders, when they play or when they chill out, they speak slang Tamil. So it's very, very interesting. And your initiative is incredible. It's beautiful. Really, the people deserve that. Because there were incidents, they kill, these albinos or whoever, that white patches people, right? They have been killed also. And obviously, LGBT, we also have a lot of issues there. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you, Dr. Shan, to bring this special speaker today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let's connect with Dr. Shastri. This could be a last question, and then Sarah, we can discuss about things, So we'll, Dr. Shastri, you have a question. So Dr. Shastri is like, he's one of a senior most person in the Sanskrit tradition. He's one of an expert scholar. And he is also a professional modern PhD degree, but he's by tradition, he's from the ancient, knowledge in, deep diver in Sanskrit tradition. And he's from the south of India, from our, tradition. So he knows the depth of, this culture. So, Shastri, you have a comment, question, please go ahead.
I just want to supplement what you said. Okama's presentation and her pointers to the song was very good. And Kamalaji's pointer that the women go before conception to a tree to listen to a song is a very good connection of one of the ancient cultures. We have a very common thing. The women go around the people tree, the Ashwata Ruksha, seeking, we want children and all that. Let's leave that for the moment. We need to explore more on the Mahabharata connections to Africa. What we have got is the view from the African side to India from the American researchers. We have not developed the true Mahabharata native connections to Africa and all around the world in the South Asia. Maybe this exploration and pointers will help to reconstruct and build what is called the pre-Jesus. I would go even for pre-Moses, the tradition, so that the root connection of the Brahmi languages, which includes the Sanskrit, Tamil, Vedic, and all that, to the Roman, Greek, Latin, Etruscan, Gilgotic, and several languages of the world. It's a massive work. Right now, Western academia has presented only Tower of Babel story for our languages and history. This needs to be revisited from a totally different perspective. This is what I got as a good pointer from Okama's song and her name and the connection to the Panther tradition, the blue eyes she mentioned, and all that. Thank you. It was very nice of you to bring out this particular speaker on this forum and allowing me to share my thoughts with you. You had a good pointer for the Toda culture. A similar one is there in Karnataka as a Siddhiki tradition. They are
Siddhiki.
tall, flat, Siddhikis, and they don't know the roots of it. That's what it is.
Same. This is same like the Badaga tradition only.
Yeah.
Badaga tradition in Nilgiri is only, like when Tamil was converged into, the Kannada, it's like Ale Kannada. Ale
Yeah.
Kannada, we say this is indigenous, the tribes, they're like Badaga, Siddhi people, and then the Kannada, it expanded like that. So this is really, so we resonate a lot of things. So the very important points you covered today. This is for all cultures. It's not just. I think even in the Western tradition, not that everybody has a freedom. They are all suppressed. So there is a conscious part of all the cultures. So we. It's like you have some things, we have like a caste system in India. Caste system is there. It was scientific. Initially, caste system was really that kind of, it was very scientifically designed, but later on it becomes very political, right? So there is one suppression in that area. Then also the native, colonialism, that's big impact. So today what India example is how India is running is completely not knowing, identifying that they are indigenous tribes, they are indigenous people. It's not known. That is why, Sarah, this is why this is important. Even though, we say that, you're only when we come to the West, for people who can come to the West, they get some idea about like who we are when we come out. Because now we are looking at different cultures, different tradition, and then we try to understand, oh, okay, what am I doing now? I lost my indigenous values. I have my own traditional way of eating food. Now I changed. I'm using my spoons and, all these unsustainable things. So I go back to my roots and find, like Okama said, my eating with the hands and all these things. I ate with on a banana leaf. We place everything and we eat. And how the food is going to, there are more than 100 medicinal properties in a banana leaf we are eating. So these things, when we connect, the difference between, today I have many of the doctors from India who just came and they went to the Western doctor education system and completely lost their traditions. They are like, they don't know that they have an indigenous software inside them. So they have installed another software and they're thinking that that is their original thing, and they start to behave in. So your point is here, this may not be known by the Western tradition, because why? You're already living in that culture. So here we have to see how, because we come from different cultures. I lived half of my life in India. I come to another culture, living in with the Western people, a lot of academic and all these things, trying to understand. I haven't entered into the Western culture deeply yet, but to some extent I know what it is, right? Because we are in science. So now I understand that there is a lacking thing in the Western culture, right? To understand the world, that, oh, okay, this is suppressed. The way I did science and technology has suppressed many cultures. Is not known. They start to believe that the science and technology is real and this is the only science and technology, which is completely wrong. Science and technology is a perspective, and that's the Western perspective of science and technology. Like that, we have indigenous cultures who have science and technology that is indigenous to that culture, and it's built very differently. So if you identify this, see, Mayans are now developing their own science and technology. The Native Americans are trying to identify. There is a nativeuniverse.org. If you go and look at it, there are. I've been worked with American Geophysical Union. So people came and present from Native Americans. Why am I looking at the Western perspective? Let me change my perspective. Change all the museums according to how we viewed the universe. We viewed the universe very differently, and we should allow. That's where the inclusiveness comes. Your point of inclusiveness is allowing other people to think the way they thought before. Allow that, right? You want to sing a song. Why should I feel bad to sing a song of my own culture? I feel, oh, I should be presenting only, this way. No, you should be your original. You should bring your originality, and this originality should be appreciated by the world. So that kind of inclusiveness is not happened, but it is happening in the United States. Slowly it is happening, but it's very less, but very few people are really appreciating into what is, deep down into inclusiveness, accepting other cultures as they are, like that. So I think eventually this should happen in order to break all the, if you wanted to have a global peace, global brotherhood, or, sisterhood, whatever we call it, that union should happen only when we have a co-realization model where each tradition appreciate the other tradition as they are, without having a perspective from their tradition. I accept you, you accept me, like as it is. So instead of you trying to get translated into another culture, I have to translate. See, now we all speak in English. So I have to speak in English. There are many things I cannot express in English. And so the Western culture also should know that they have to learn other tradition cultures, other languages. These are very important. So that is the main thing. So I definitely feel the same way, like, okay, what should I bring right now? I have to empower people. What is empowerment? Why do I now empower? There's nothing called empowerment. Empowerment is, see, there are two ways. When you're giving education, say for example, when you're giving your kid, you're telling your kid, this is what you learn, and I am your dad, you listen to that. It's not going to work. But if you identify what is the talent that your kid has and let them grow by themselves, that's empowerment. So similarly, in colonialism, there are things that are, we educated everyone, this is the thing, we gave education to the world. No, you suppress culture to colonialism because you haven't identified what is there in Africa, where a person is having so much traditional knowledge. They have their own way of architecture. They have their own perspective for the world. You haven't identified that and brought it as a curriculum. Instead, you put your own curriculum to the entire world, and that's just that's a veil on me. That's a screen. It's completely you suppress, and I don't know now. It's me. My identification is gone, and I'm in a wearing this mask. So this perspective should go to every person in this world. Okay, you are from this tradition, you have your own values, and you have your own science and technologies that's indigenous to you, which could be very useful for humanity. Very, very useful things like what you told, they are very scientific values. Going how you're preparing your body, for a dance and all these things. They're very scientific, and we need to bring that to the mainstream cultures, and that's what we are working on, and it's not that we are initially it looks like we are fighting, but that's how we need to come out. But the truth is that there is no fight here. Who is responsible? Every culture, every tradition is coming from nature. So that hate should not be there either way. So even though historically these things are happened, we should not create hate. That's what I think. We not hate any culture. Instead, you bring the good part of all cultures, all traditions. Many things are very good in the Western tradition. Bring the good things from the Western tradition. Then integrate the good things from all different cultures. We'll have a universal culture, universal brotherhood. So that's what my thing is.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And to Sastri as well, for your feedback. And Sarah, it's these are topics that need more dialogue around. And I'm very happy that Dr. Shan is opening up the spaces for us to have it. I've been having it within my circles, but I believe working together, it would give us broader platforms to share this. We are in a new phase of development reawakening, a conscious development reawakening, where us people of African descent, we believe and we're taking action for that paradigm shift to take place. It's not only about talking anymore, but it's about doing. And the legacy that our generation want to leave is the stories being told by us, how we know it, and for our people. We tell the stories the way we know it, the way our ancestors passed it on to us, and we have that documented, and this done by us, the people that are living it and know it. And it should go into curriculum. And we believe that is the way it's going to be sustained, for these ancient traditions to be told and carried forward. I mean, if you look at ancient Egypt, how were all of those temples, the pyramids, built? If you look at, Machu Picchu, look at, the structures there. How were those built before, modern education systems came into place? But the writings, the documentation, the literature is not done by the people that actually know it. It's being done for us. The stories have been told for us, and therefore the narrative has been carried along the way that it makes sense to a certain segment of people. Now we are taking it into our hands, and we are exploring how to do this. So I think we can only have success when it's done in a conscious way, and it's done collaboratively, and the support it's there. I like to say that India celebrated 61 years of independence. It's the same as Nigeria. We're about the same age as getting our autonomy from Britain.
Real independence should happen when we have this paradigm shift knowledge, in curriculum, because curriculum has not happened. Even though India is so vast, no curriculum, even though government is trying things and all, but human beings are not allowing right now, to anything to manifest. That's kind of it's gone. So it's very difficult to bring our traditional things. That's the freedom, that's where the independence comes. So hopefully, we can all jointly work together to make this happen in the future. Collaborative. Okay. So Sarah, you wanted to add something, please?
Yeah, thank you. Everything you said is lovely. I think the empowerment piece is very important, which is why I mentioned sometimes this linguistics, this commonality of the languages that you speak of, these root languages, where the world is shrinking to its origins, which is also why I think that some of this veil that you speak of can also be masked with words and labels. So, you know, I hope that everyone can feel empowered to stand for their culture. As I mentioned, I think very specifically the word inclusion, the roots of that word denote mental and physical disabilities. So while the effects of colonization have put a disadvantage or perhaps mental trauma, your culture is not a physical or mental disability.
Mm.
So it should not be masked in that grouping, okay? Or sexual connotation. If I'm driving in a car, you don't know my sexual affiliation, right? You see the color of my skin. Or if I have a wheelchair in the trunk. So to me, those are very different things. So I think that the cultural piece is very important, and don't get grouped into advocating or over advocating for too many things, because if you go deep into the mountains or the village and tell that person the color of their skin is a disability, I think that is just perpetuating the colonial mentality, correct?
Yeah, that's
Correct.
the point, I think.
And that is why we talk about diversity and inclusion.
Well, I think collaboration is very important, but again, like I said, the civil rights movement being derailed by the feminist movement. You know, while equality is very important, suppressing feminine power is not good. And we're seeing the destruction of the family with women in the workforce. So likewise, I think that culture and physical and mental disabilities and sexual orientation should be very separate endeavors. Inclusive, but different. Agreed? I think that's a very important distinction, to not adopt the mentality that it's a disadvantage, or your culture is not a disadvantage or a disability.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think there is a little problem here in the culture itself, because in order to tell these things, we need to work on some strategies, because there are linguistic barriers in expressing to some culture that this exists. So we have to give up something, tell them, you know, this is this, and there are no other words we could use. So the problem is there in that culture. If you're in that culture, you have to only use, you know, the way what Sarah is telling, you know, let's say you have come to a universal global culture. So you're now understanding that is not yet in that culture. So we initially have to use these kind of words, but that eventually what you are saying is the truth. That's how we should identify. Yeah, but you know, but it's very difficult to translate this knowledge. What you are telling is we can communicate, but that's not like easily transferable to. If I bring a person who is already in that tradition, they wouldn't allow this, accept this. Oh my God, they have, you know, suppressed me for a long time. You know,
I know. I gotta go.
So that's the real problem there. So we understand, coming from, even Okama can understand, probably because different cultures, we came to another culture, we understand, you know, how the West works, how the East works. But you know, in general, there's a real problem there. But hopefully, you know, we look for a better world today. You know, people will definitely come up with a new culture. We need a new type of culture, universal culture, that will forget all the past, you know, because past, all these memories, we have to blame somebody. See, if you blame this culture, you will blame another culture, or you go back, you will blame like you know, some other like things happened in a era, you know, like species, we go for speciesism, you know, one species came. These all are temporary memories. beyond all this, where all we come from, where all the things came from. It's one ultimate consciousness. So this knowledge is what our ancient traditional knowledge says. Don't see physical body and other things, like external identification. Instead, teach them the roots of the consciousness. And as they start to see people, the consciousness part of the people, now they have a new perspective for the whole world. So that culture, if you build that culture, all these the differences, everything will disappear. And so there is a way we can do that also. That's first thing. This should go away. And in future we should not be thinking about even talking about like your skin is black, your thing is white, brown. All these things should not be in the picture itself. So to that level, we can change the education in such a way, that you never see physical body at all. You identify the soul. And that's all our shade scientists are only telling these things. Our ancient siddhas are talking about identify soul. Look at the soul. Do not see the physical. Do not give importance to the physical. Look at the inside through them. Seeing through them is a technique. You need a practice. From the young age, you need to see them, little children, we have to tell them, see the soul. Look at the plant, see the soul in the plant. Start from there. And the one who sees the soul in the plant, they would not harm anybody. Will that little one, will they take a AK-47 tomorrow and, shoot people? So there it starts. When they identify the soul in that one plant, they will feel the universal, it's not more than, brotherhood, it's more speciesism, universal, the whole speciesism, everything as you are worshipping, the plant, the trees, the soil, native, everyone worship, they all are consciousness, they are part of consciousness. We evolved from this. We evolved from the same space, right? So that identification, there's a bigger type of knowledge that need to be given to this world before anything happens, because this is going to be a never-ending thing. One culture, another culture, it keeps on going. So the best thing is to give this knowledge, and then we can talk about resolving other things. That's what I'm, I propose now. But hopefully, we can co-realize this. Okay. All right. So we are running out of time. So thank you so much. We already took like, your 40 minutes, right? So we can thank you all. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Okama. It was wonderful opening your eyes, for many people. Yeah. Thank you. See. Thank you, Sarah, Shastriji. Okay. Thank you.
And thank you for the song. Thank you for the song. Huh?
Oh, yeah. Anilji.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Let me take a picture. I want to take a picture. Please don't go yet.
Let's add Vanita and Mr. Selva, please.
Please turn on your camera.
Join us.
So we can do
I didn't see our Selva, I think, Canada, I think. I haven't seen.
Okay, here we go. Awesome.
Hold on. So we'll take one more picture from here. Selva, if you want to join.
Hi. Yes. Okay. You got it?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.